A good old school love song can take you on a journey and incite the resurgence of memories long gone. The 1973 hit, Can This Be Real, is a prime example. The melody was a top 40 breakthrough on the R&B charts, and the natural four were the singular force behind the hit. Olin Christopher Bell, better known as Chris James, knows firsthand about song and news travels. The natural four was his group.
Well, welcome to Can This Be Real? My name is Olin Christopher Bell, and I will be bringing you a series of information about the group, the Natural Four, which is my group. I'll be bringing you the very first recording we ever did. I'll also let you see the very first album cover. It was called album back then, not CDs or any of these other things. It was called an album. And I will be sharing information about the group, where we started, how many transitions were within the group, the songs that we recorded, the producers that we had, and the television shows that we were able to do as the Natural Four. And I hope that you like this presentation that I'm going to be giving to you, hopefully, once or twice a month, letting you hear some songs that you didn't hear before, some songs that were not released on Natural Four, the extensions of the Natural Four, and again, the different players in the group. The Natural Four started in late 1967. Our first record was recorded in 1968 on the Bula Bula label. The title of the album was Natural Four, Good Vibes, and here is what the album looked like. Yeah, I hope you like that. Well, facing it on your left would be me. Next to me would be John January. Next to him, the guy with the big afro, is Punkin. Better known, his birth name is Alfred Bowden. And to the right of him is Alan Richardson. Alan has since passed, but this was the original makeup of the original Natural Four. And the very first song that we recorded was a song entitled I Thought You Were Mine. Again, we recorded it in Oakland at a place called Sierra Sounds. And for me, that was the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me, to be able to record. Little did I know that I was really not paying attention to the, for a better term, the fine print. But I'll get into that as time goes on. And then I'll let you know what songs we recorded, some of the musicians that played on the very first project. People like Gaylord Birch, who passed away many years ago. He was the drummer for a group which some of you will remember, the Pointer Sisters. He also played with Tower Power. Gaylord was a masterful drummer. I admired him because he was not only a good drummer, he was a good person. So I'll be giving you history, as much history as I can, and I hope to have an interview done by a friend that's on the album. His name is Lloyd Gregory. I'd like for you to have an opportunity to meet him because he was there when the Natural Four first started. And him and I are still friends today. But again, the very first song that we recorded was a song called I Thought You Were Mine. I'm going to play it for you right now, and I'll be right back after the song plays.
Now that you're leaving me, girl, I feel I lose my mind. You're packing all your clothes, turning in your feet, leaving me behind. You're not in love with me. Oh, you're not in love with me.
Please,
Oh, baby, baby, baby.
give me one
Oh,
more day.
just give me this one more day.
I'll do anything
Oh, I
you
love you
ask.
and I follow you, baby.
If you'll
Oh,
only stay.
just walk by me after you are mine.
Well, I hope you like that. That was the very first song that I ever recorded. The writer of that song, his name was Ricky. Ricky Jones was his name. No, my bad. It wasn't Ricky Jones. The writer for that particular song was Lonnie Cook, who lives in Los Angeles, who's still writing, still doing some producing of his own. Him and the gentleman by the name of Fred Ivey got together, started, he didn't manage, but Fred Ivey started managing the group. But those are the people that first started my whole career off. John Ivory, Fred Ivey, people like Billy Barnes, who used to manage a group called the Ballards. We, the Natural Four, were one of the first groups from the Bay Area, that did national television. And I'll get into that as time progresses. The second song I'm going to play for you is a song called Why Should We Stop Now? Now, this song is the one that really caught the attention of ABC Records. And this song was written by Ricky Jones, and in fact, he wrote two of these songs. Now, our producer, Mr. Crooked Willie Hoskins, and I'm hoping that he's still around to hear me say this, very crooked person. And in fact, Natural Four were not too brilliant themselves, because we got, out of all the songs that I ever recorded, I've never received a dime. My fault. Didn't pay attention to the fine print, for a better term. But anyway, that's another story as we go down the line. But again, we were on Bula Bula Records. It was located in Oakland, California, on Telegraph Avenue. And that is where, for me, for the most part, everything started on the recording side. Prior to that, becoming a member of the Natural Four was pretty simple. I was working at General Motors on the line, and they heard that I could sing. So there's a gentleman, Pumpkin, came over and said, "Hey, look, we're looking for another lead singer. Are you interested?" And of course I was. This was in '67. We both were working at General Motors at the time. And so that's where the group started. Prior to me getting with Pumpkin, Johnny, and Alan, the name of the group at that time back then was called the Dynamic Dimensions. And the name changed because of, at the time, the biggest thing that was happening was the natural. And they had a lot of hair shops, salons, and so they got a lot of natural wigs in. And if you look at the picture of me on the cover, that's a natural wig. My hair never grew that long. And so, hence came the name of the group, the Natural Four. So, right now I'm going to play Why Should We Stop Now? And I hope you like it. You can get back to me. I'll get back to you right after this song plays. Thank you.
We got a good thing together. Now, baby.
Now, baby.
And we've been so happy. Now, baby.
Now, baby.
Why should we stop now? Oh, why should we stop now? No, got it going.
Well, I hope you liked it. That was the first really big hit the Natural Four had back in the 60s. I found out many years later that Why Should We Stop Now had become an extremely big hit in Los Angeles among the Hispanic community. I never knew this. I didn't find this out truly until many years later. And it kind of blew me away to find this out. Well, on this segment, I want to bring in a good friend of mine named Lloyd Gregory, who actually played on the whole album. And him and I have remained friends ever since. He's an exceedingly exceptional guitarist, as well as a black belt in karate. And I used to tell him all the time that he played his guitar like he played, he did karate, which was a joke. It was not serious. Lloyd is a really good guitarist, a great band leader. But without any further ado, I would like to introduce him to you right here today on Can This Be Real? Welcome, Lloyd. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I wanted to welcome you to Can This Be Real? This is my new platform, and I could have not had a more appropriate guest than you, Lloyd, because you were there when we were recording our very first album back in the day, and it was called Album back then, not CD or any other name. It was called an album. So one of my questions to you is, do you remember the session itself?
Can you hear me all right this way?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I took my headphones off because not really. A little bit about the session. I think I remember the little bit that we talked about the session, about that one song that we worked on all night to get it to the session before the sessions were over. And then
You're stepping on up?
Yeah.
Oh, the worst song on the album?
Well, I went to, thinking about this, I went to YouTube to see if I could find the album.
And
I found 2 songs.
Why Should We Stop Now?
No, I didn't find that. I found Message to a Black Man and Going in Circles.
Oh, see, I think Zakiya found the same ones.
Yeah.
I think she found the same ones.
And it's interesting, the Message to the Black Man, I guess it came after James Brown did I Black and I Proud, because that was inferred in that record.
Yeah, I think that was around the time.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing for me, coming from you, is can you expound on those times for me? Can you kind of give a timeline? Not so much timeline. Do you remember any of the things that happened back then in general?
Well, I remember a couple of isolated incidents because that was so long ago, and I was bouncing back and forth at that time.
Right.
And I do remember the Willie Hoskins situation.
Okay.
I remember we used to rehearse. He had this house on, was it Ashby?
Telegraph.
No.
Oh,
That was the second one. The first one.
Oh, I don't remember.
The first one, he had a little house. I don't know, he was on Ashby. I don't think it was on Alcatraz. It was a little house sit in the back. And then he went to Telegraph when he hooked up with Lou Vasson and was in the same building where Lou Vasson had his beauty shop.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yes, I do remember that.
And then
he was downstairs.
What?
His little studio.
Well, when he was on Ashby or whatever, it was in that little building. But then when we went to the storefront, I don't remember downstairs. I don't remember that much about it except where it was, because it was right there at that traffic light.
Exactly.
And I remember Lou Vasson's place was right next door. And I guess it was the same building.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was a long building that was there.
So I don't remember the inside at all. I just remember the essence of what was going on at the time.
Well, tell me, what do you remember about Gaylord? Because Gaylord did most of the drums on that whole project.
Well, I remember a lot about Gaylord, but probably more recently, that when Gaylord finally went back out with Graham Central Station, he came back and they found out that he had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And me, Jay Payton, I'm not sure if it was Pete Escovedo or Edwin Hawkins.
Mm-hmm.
We came together and did a benefit for Gaylord at Jeffries. And thanks to a guy that worked with me, we got a place called, it wasn't SIR, but it might have been SIR that brought us backline for 2 stages for free for the benefit for Gaylord, because it was for Gaylord. And they just brought a truck in and unloaded the stuff, and we had bands going upstairs and downstairs, and Larry Graham came in from, I guess he was in Jamaica or somewhere like that, and the Whispers came up from LA, and it was just packed with bands playing every 20 minutes on 2 stages for Gaylord. And that was my little contribution to Gaylord's life.
He also played with and actually produced Pointer Sisters, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he played with Tower of Power.
Yeah. I don't remember Tower of Power, but I remember the Pointer Sisters.
I remember Tower of Power. What, if anything, would you say was the biggest factor in whatever small success the Natural Four had back in the day?
You?
Wasn't expecting that. Why do you say that?
I just speak the truth.
I wasn't expecting that.
I mean, you spearheaded it. I think you put the group together. I don't know, was Punkin like the money behind it?
Well, there was really never. Yeah, he would be considered the person with the dollars
I
behind.
mean, when I talk about money behind it, I mean you need stuff. You need gas to get somewhere. You need this. You need that. All of those little things that happen. That the Natural Four and the band, that was like a machine, and you had to keep the machine running.
Right.
And you had to keep the machine on the road.
Right.
When I say the road, I don't mean the road, but I mean like, if you go to the corner store, you got to put gas in the machine.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and I was kind of thinking that Punkin was like, he was the one that kind of carried the load on that when it was necessary to do that. Now, I could have been wrong because I wasn't in the group. I was the guitar player.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. He would conjure up the dollars and cents constantly. He was definitely there for that. To me, he was not the greatest vocalist, first tenor.
Well, we knew that. I mean,
I'm sorry?
I mean, that's a no-brainer. We knew that. I mean, but the thing was he was like your right-hand man. He was between you and him. You guys were the factor that was pushing the group together. The other guys were singers, but as far as making headway through the, like an icebreaker, it breaks through the ice. That was you and Punkin. You would make things happen. He would help you, and you guys worked as a team.
We did, for a long period of time. John January had a regular job, and Alan had a regular job, so they were not as committed.
Of course not. They were committed to their jobs.
Yeah, because Alan was a longshoreman. John was heading to be the head janitor, custodian, I guess you call him, not janitor, but custodian at Berkeley High School. So their jobs were much more important than the music. What else could you say about the Natural Four that was unique or something special about them?
The first group?
Yes, the first group.
Um, well, you know, it was during a time when there were a lot of groups coming up in the doo-wop arena. I guess you call them doo-wops, I don't, you know, but, you know, the groups that were doing the routines and singing, and you had one man singing out front, and you had the other three doing routines, and then they would switch up and do stuff. And that's, you know, that was a thing during that time. And for some reason in the Bay Area in California, there were a lot of those groups, but there were only a couple groups that actually made it through to be recognized as something other than just, you know, Johnny's Tavern down the street got this group playing, man, they're really cool, man. And that's the end of that. No, you guys were doing festivals, you were doing concerts, you were doing the elite supposed clubs, you know, you guys had a name. You built a name. You yourself built the name. And, you know, anybody say something different, I know better. So, you know.
Now, to me, one of the bigger groups there in the Bay Area was the Ballads. They really
They were a strong group at the time.
they were. They had good harmony, they had good routines,
And they had hit records.
and they had hit records, local hit records. I don't know if anything ever went national, I'm not sure.
God Bless Our Love was a national hit, but that was the second one.
Right, because somebody else put that out.
One.
Huh?
We recorded one, and then I forgot what the label was that took it on, and then re-recorded the song and shot it across the country.
Right on.
You know,
What about the Hartfield Brothers?
Hartfield Brothers, that was a good group, but they never got the status, you know, of the Natural for the Ballads or the Whispers. And then there was the Young Hearts.
But the Young Hearts were from Southern California.
Right. But they would come up, and I mean, we would run into them when we went down that way.
Exactly. Now the Whispers are not from Oakland.
They're from LA. I remember when they came up.
They are from Nevada. They are, the word I have is that the Whispers, I could be wrong, but I ask, and the original, they came after the Ballads, the Natural Four. They came later.
Yeah, but you know, it was interesting because I thought, you know, all this time, I thought they came up from LA.
Well, you could be right. I'm not sure. I'll do some fact checking on that.
Well, I mean, you know, I never
I know
checked.
they weren't from the Bay Area.
No, they weren't. And that's when Scotty was the lead singer and Walter was in the Army.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I think one of the biggest groups that ever came out, or one of many large groups, was Sly and the Family Stone.
You know, it's interesting when you said one of the biggest groups that came out, I immediately thought about Sly, and I was like, no, he's not talking about Sly.
Yeah. I mean, Sly had his own platform because he was a DJ.
And hey, Sly, can I dedicate?
Yes. Yes. And
he had his piano in the studio.
That's absolutely right.
And he would jump on, he would play a song, then he would say, you know, he would talk to the people, and then he would jump on the piano and play and sing a song.
Yeah, he had the perfect platform.
Right.
Also, the Pointer Sisters were very big.
Yeah, but they were later. Hold on a second. Let me do this. All right, there we go. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Is there anything else that you could expound on that would give the audience more information about Natural Four, the Bay Area, the talent from the Bay Area? There was quite a few groups coming out of the Bay Area back in the day.
It was interesting because Don Barksdale owned 2 clubs. And then I found out later he was a basketball player, right?
Yes, he was.
And he had the Showcase and the Sportsman.
Right.
And he was the one that had a lot of the talent coming through him. I mean, people like Lou Rawls, Ike and Tina Turner,
Right.
they would play at his clubs. And I remember I met Muhammad Ali at the Sportsman the first time I met him was at the Sportsman, down Boxville Sportsman. And there was just a lot of talent in the streets and a lot of stuff going on at the time. You know, you had a lot of black-owned clubs. You had it was, for a gigging musician, you could make a living here in the Bay Area.
Yes, you could. Back in the day, you could make a living at it.
That was before disco came, I think.
But the disco came late 70s, early 80s.
And it shut everything down, just like
Yeah.
COVID-19. Because all of the club owners realized that they could get somebody to play some records and didn't have to hassle with a band and pay them maybe 1/4 or less than that of what they would pay a band, and the people would be dancing all night long. And if the people danced all night long, then they were drinking because they were thirsty and they made money. So it was a win-win for the club owners.
Tell me, who are some of the most famous people that you have played with and met through your career?
Oh man, I've met them.
Just name a couple of them.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The second Natural Four signed to Curtis Mayfield.
Right.
And when I was young, in my teens, and I was going to school, we had a little band, and everybody in the band played guitar, drums, and piano. And then we kind of veered off to which instrument that we actually wanted to play. And there was another guy in the band, we were kids inside guy, but you know, he was into Curtis Mayfield, because Curtis Mayfield had a song out, The Impressions, I mean, not Curtis Mayfield, but The Impressions, was a song out called Gypsy Woman.
Right.
And there was some certain guitar stuff that was going on, and he showed me that, and I liked it. So thanks to Curtis Mayfield's playing, made me decide to start playing the guitar. And then when I was with the Natural Four, and we were in Chicago, I got a chance to be in the studio, just me one-on-one with Curtis and his engineer, when he was doing the Back to the World album. Remember that?
I remember that.
And Curtis was in there, and he was just like a little boy, because he was so excited about Philip Upchurch's tracks, and he was soloing Philip Upchurch's tracks and talking about listen to his touch, listen to his touch. He was just so excited. And it was great.
Well, Phil's a bad player.
I know. But, you know, that was my experience. That was my one-on-one experience with Curtis, was listening to Philip Upchurch tracks. But he was my inspiration to even play music, you know. And
well, isn't it Stanley Clarke?
well, you know, I was signed to Stanley's recording label.
Ah.
And when I would go down to LA, I would stay at his house and spend a lot of time with Stanley. Actually, learned a lot from him, because the interesting thing was Rodney Franklin used to always teach me stuff about the studio and stuff, and everything he would teach me, he said he learned from Stanley. So when I got with Stanley, I got a chance to learn something, but all Stanley wanted to talk about was karate.
I was going to ask you that. I kind of mentioned the fact that you, are you still into martial arts?
No, I haven't been doing martial arts. I've been, you know, just walking and, you know, basically that. And,
Well, Lloyd, I'm not going to hold you much longer. I want to thank you.
but I think you did a great job with the first group and the second group.
It wasn't easy.
What you're doing now.
I'm sorry?
And with what you're doing now.
I'm doing my best to keep the torch alive musically for myself and hopefully for others. Again, I want to thank you, Lloyd, for taking the time to chat here with me.
Well, thank you for allowing me to be a part of it. I appreciate it.
No, it's my pleasure, Lloyd. As I said in the beginning, I've known you for, well, we've been doing music together for over 40 years.
That's scary.
Really scary, you know. And thank God we're still here. I'm glad that you're still here. All right, well, tell everybody that I said hello, and please stay in touch, Lloyd. And thank you again, man, for taking the time to do this. Z will do the editing. We'll let you see it when it's finished. And again, I appreciate your time, brother.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to be a part, and I wish you much success with what you're doing.
Thank you, brother. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Well, thank you for tuning in today. I hope that you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed my special guest, Mr. Lloyd Gregory. I shall be returning, of course, within 2 weeks with another show. Material, songs from the Natural Four, songs that you've heard, some that you haven't heard. But please, if you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to my channel. Stay in touch with me. And I can say to all of you, God bless you and God keep you. Don't forget social distancing. And don't forget to take care of your children, your sons, your black sons, because they are trying to eliminate us. Again, I hope you enjoy the show. I'll be coming back with you, bringing you more material from my group, The Natural Four, right here on Can This Be Real? God bless and keep you.